Hi, everybody. I hope you're enjoying the IRX. Today, we have a 30-minute session based on customer journey and delivering user best practice. Okay, my name is Stuart Paterson. I am the sales director for the UK and Northern Europe. And also to take us through this session is my colleague, Ollie Murray, who is head of UK projects. In the session, we'll be looking at some good examples of how to make sure you're leveraging all the tools at your disposal. I think it's fair to say that customer expectations are a lot higher now than they've ever been. So retaining the customer on the site is paramount to maximizing conversion rate optimization and strengthening the brand proposition. I guess since the initial clamor, if you can call it that, for e-commerce tools at the beginning of the pandemic even, I think we've seen in more recent months that more retailers and brands are deploying a much more thoughtful approach to product and content delivery. I think it's fair to say that retailers are looking for tools that can deliver business KPIs without tying up all the internal resources, which has been a problem. Certainly, again, that's been faced over the last 12 months or so. I think the key here is automation. And automation in most cases, in regards to e-commerce, when we talk about technology and solutions, is in the form of AI. This is a key component to delivering that automated approach that's needed. Secondly, I think there's been a shift, certainly in the last, again, six to 12 months, in regards to how retailers and brands look at vendors that are supplying technology. And I think the key thing now is there seems to be a shift in regards to retailers' expectations. So I think there's a lot more sort of possibilities when you go to one particular vendor and they can supply pretty much all the tools that you're looking for. Traditionally, what's happened is that retailers and brands have looked at maybe 3 or 4 different tech providers to provide them with the type of experience and tools that they need to deliver the front end experience to their users. So a buzzword at the minute, I guess, is digital experience platform. And that's something that here at FactFinder we have achieved in the last 18 months or so, being able to provide all that tool set and all that functionality to retailers to give them a one simplistic UI to manage all their business KPIs and user experience. So I think to summarize what is FactFinder, I guess I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't just mention this. So we are I would say the world's best site search solution. We specialize in site search, but obviously we do have the other tools at our disposal. So things like I've said already that are included in a digital experience platform, things like navigation, merchandising, analytics, reporting, A/B testing. So all those components are really important. We've picked up multiple awards over the last 20 years or so. The last 3 years, we've picked up Best Site Search Solution, 3 years on the bounce, which we're really proud of. And that sort of ties in nicely to why we won the awards. So FactFinder is first and foremost language independent, so it works in all languages, which is really good for global brands and retailers that have multiple channels and channels in different regions. The technology which we developed in-house is patented, patented world match technology. The system itself, or the latest version of FactFinder, is called FactFinder Next Generation. Very high performance, B2C, B2B specialists. extremely fast index capabilities and able to digest really complicated data sets of varying amounts, up to 100 million SKUs. And the really sort of, I guess, key driver for FactFinder in the marketplace is the fact that we are a all-in-one tool for e-commerce. Again, so very, very important in regards to being able to fulfill all those requirements that a retailer or brand needs in today's ever-changing landscape of e-commerce. So within this session, we're going to have a look at the customer journey. So we're going to have a look at maybe some best practices in regards to what retailers do quite well. And we'll also look at some other examples of where perhaps retailers and brands could do a little bit better. So I'm going to put my diplomatic hat on when we go through this because I don't want to upset anyone. So let's just have a sort of a recap right back to the beginning of the customer journey. So traditionally what happens is when we visit a site, we'll be looking at the search bar as one of the key components that we will be potentially using. Obviously, shoppers that use search have a higher conversion rate, a higher, obviously, impulse to purchase compared to those using the navigation and category layout on a site. So we're looking here at a retailer called OBI. You may or may not be familiar with them. They're a very, very large European retailer specializing in DIY, turning over excess of 13 billion. So not a small company by any stretch. And what these guys do well from the start is develop and manage the customer expectations from the very first characters which are actually typed in. So Holly, let's have a look at how the suggest functions and what's returned to the retailer. Sorry, returned to the customer.
Yeah, so we've got some suggestions that we bring back immediately. So within this sort of drop-down area, we've got the suggestions, all powered by our technology here. So products, categories, but obviously more importantly, we've got as a DIY retailer, it's really useful to give them other guides of other things they may be interested in that they have. So it's not necessarily just products that, you know, they can tell stories, they can communicate how-to guides, whatever other content is useful to surface at that initial point in that customer's journey. It's really up to them to, you know, deliver all the information to them, and they can direct themselves across the site where they need to go.
What's quite nice on this as well is when you hover over the left-hand side here, the recent search terms, I believe they are, or recent searches, and we can see how the products change as well, and how additional content is displayed here under the Jamestown grill. So it's like exactly really nice feature.
Yeah, and then if you compare that to other retailers with a similar vertical, the same sorts of experiences is a bit lacking in features in comparison.
Yeah, it's pretty basic. There's not a great deal of thought going into the user experience here, and again, managing the expectations of the user.
Yeah, and it's such an important part of the journey to improve as well, because it's that initial touch point. The customer's got some intent on a product they want to find, so it's such an important part of the journey to try and improve. And it's so quick to do that with FactFinder Suggest as well. So if we go into a search result as well, so we can start to see the sorts of results that OBI bring back. So again, following on from that sort of content discovery piece as well as the product discovery, this is something that OBI leverage on as well. So we can return product results as well as content results. So this is quite a neat feature for those customers that are more in the discovery mode and just researching any particular topic.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good as well, because I think there's definitely a shift in the way that shoppers are using websites now. They are looking for that extra information and that extra advice, which 9 times out of 10 is hidden within the site and is just not visible. So it's a really nice user experience there to make that distinction between products and content.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, in comparison, equally there's the same opportunities here to make those similar improvements, surface other content, even with the more merchandising topics, which we'll cover as well. Be able to help in this experience here, be able to help and advise and guide customers to the right type of products for them as well. So this is another FactFinder feature to offer a sort of question and answer experience. Because in this case we've returned over 1,000 different grill related products, so it's really useful to be that voice of some sort of experience or understanding about that particular product set, and then advise the customer on what they may what product may best fit their needs.
Yeah, sure. So with something like that, though, I mean, obviously each and every user, and me and you are no different in this. We all search for products in a different way. So, I mean, for what we may call a grill, someone else may call a barbecue, for example. So, so with OBI, does that obviously take that into account, that sort of semantic element?
Yes, there's some connections as well you can make with the source entries, that sort of thing, to find, if someone searches for grill, also return barbecues, or there's some concept of Thesaurus capabilities, as well as even just searching through the product data that we naturally capture anyway. So yeah, with those two search terms, we're returning similar sets of results. We're returning the same question answer experience, the same set of content as well. So we're always trying to surface all of the relevant products depending on what search term that customer's entered into the search box.
Yeah, and I think that's really key. I mean, I can remember looking at an example a year or so ago with a German brand of, I think it was shoes or something. Is it Birkenstock, or was that a type of shoe? I can't remember, but
that's a brand.
It is a brand. Good.
Yeah.
And I can remember the actual retailer in question saying that there was something, I think, over 80 different when they looked at their analytics and the data, the customer data, there was over 80 different variants of how that word had been spelled. So I guess that sort of degree of intelligence and that also that leniency in regards to error tolerance and stuff like that is really key to making sure that, fat fingers, we've all got them, and especially on things like mobile devices and stuff like that, when you're typing in search terms and stuff, it's important to have that degree of tolerance built in to make sure that you're still returning the correct results and managing the customer's expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Bit more on the discovery side of things. So obviously filters are really important as part of that customer journey, especially in this case where we have got quite a big range of products. It's not just the advisory piece, it's just giving the customer the ability to filter down the results themselves based on any particular feature of the product they're interested in. So obviously this is quite meaningful to show things like images where possible. And this is all driven through whatever product data is captured against any of these products we have in the results.
Sure, a couple of nice, certainly a nice filter I can see in there is the second one down, the availability one, which is good, I suppose, from a geolocation point of view, being able to manipulate the results based on the area that I'm in, so they can be matched up potentially with my local store, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got a geo search facility where you can obviously tell the sites where you're located, and we can surface results that are local to you. So that's the case for OBI. They send us stock availability at store level, so we know exactly which products are in which stores at what time, and we can use that facility to then allow the customers to then see and definitely filter to products that are local to them.
And the other thing that right underneath that is obviously the price slider, very prominent, and certainly one of the I guess key filters that you would expect to be shown. So the good thing about this one is, and I think you're going to show us in a second with the other retailer that we were just looking at, is the fact that the more frequently used filters are towards the top of the actual filter list, which again I think is, from a user point of view, is a sort of takes into account obviously the user, and it's sort of making sure that they're prominent.
Yeah, because I mean, most people, I mean, me especially, I'm quite price conscious. So for me to find price right at the bottom of the list is, I would say, quite unusual. But maybe different for different retailers, I expect anyway. But yeah, be able to customize the order of these filter lists is quite important. The other thing I noticed as well is even just the priority of these products in the results as well, that in terms of merchandising, that I find it quite peculiar that we've got products here with, well, these ones have got 3-star ratings and they're quite high in price. And whereas you've got new products lower down. So I found that quite unusual. And then we've got
4-star rating product there as well.
Yeah. So, and this is all data we've got available, right? So this is possible to merchandise these products just with ranking logic to say, promote products that have got a better review score, promote products that maybe we have got on clearance. We want to get rid of that stock ready for the next season.
Yeah, sure.
So there's other criteria that we could use, and new products as well. We want to shout about our new products. So there's definitely opportunities there for ranking as well.
Absolutely. The other thing, sorry to get across you there. The other thing is as well with that is, I mean, obviously barbecues are a very seasonal product, and we are in, I would say, peak barbecue buying territory right now. So obviously, if it's not merchandised correctly in your peak selling times, then effectively, I guess basically there's revenue being missed out on there.
Yeah, compare this here. So we've got, high review score product, got best selling ones up here. Yeah, so there's definitely been a bit more attention made here on what products being merchandised towards the top. So we've talked a lot about search, filters, ranking possibilities. Maybe we could look a bit more into maybe more of the personalization side as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's
I think sort of from my point of view as well, one of the things that certainly when we're speaking to brands and retailers, there's an expectancy that personalization can be delivered now through search. And I think it's key, again, to managing that whole user experience and basically making sure that where possible, that relevancy is applied within the results. So I think you've got a quite a good example here of how that potentially works with a drinks business.
So on the drinks basket, they use FactFinder search as well. But more importantly, they use a feature called personalization. So this is really useful for understanding when customers are either new or they're returning, that we can start to understand the types of products they're interested in. That really helps us to then optimize the results personally for them and learn what they're interested in. So, for example, if I'm searching for gin, I'm obviously going to see gym products. So obviously merchandise how the drinks basket want them to be. It's the AI has learned from customer behavior and boosted most popular products. But then at a personal level, I can say, well, let's go and have a look at one of these gin items. So it's quite nice. Comes in like a nice box. It's a brand maybe I've preferred in the past, and I want to repeat purchase this, so I can add it to my basket. But what you'll notice then is if I then come back to look for other gym products, FactFinder's automatically learned within my session.
Yeah.
I've not logged in or anything at this point either. But it's just learned that I've got a preference for this particular type of gin, so it's boosting that in the results.
You've got very expensive taste for things, Holly, when it comes to gin.
Not such a cheap date.
No, definitely not.
So, but the ability there to learn, even within session, I've not even logged in on any particular preferences the customer have, is quite powerful. That when we then return any other set of results, that we can then surface those types of products to them personally for them. So, Stuart, if you were to go onto Drinks Basket and say you preferred the Jaffa Cake gin, for example, you would see that boosted for you. So this is quite a powerful tool. It means also as well that when we're even giving recommendations later in the journey, those recommendations will be personalized too. So it's a really useful tool to make sure that products we think that customer has a higher intent to purchase, that we have that capability to leverage that and promote those products and hopefully surface them in a more prominent position to those customers.
Sure. Can you just do me a favour, actually, while I'm just going to go a little bit off piste for a second. Can you just click on the wines category there on the top?
Yep.
Maybe red wine for me, please.
We've got it. Let's go into red wine.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Now, I was just looking at the filters actually for gin there, and they were all obviously.
It's red wine, yeah.
Yeah. And they were all, I like the way that, again, so going back a step to the filters, how they were all relevant to basically what the search results that I had in front of me. And I just wanted to see how dynamically they changed, obviously, when you looked at something different. And again, we've got a completely different set of filters, which are completely relevant to the products that I'm looking at. Again, that's something which is really, really important in regards to the user experience. Certainly from looking at building up a sort of a repeat customer in regards to delivering brand expectations and stuff. These types of user behavior sort of experiences are really important in delivering that. Good. Sorry, I distracted you from
right.
your gin mare, but yeah, I just thought it was just really relevant to mention that.
So as the customer then maybe goes through their customer journey, they've maybe chosen a product they're quite interested in. Shall we maybe look at some examples of that part of the journey? So we've let's go to one of our other customers.
Yeah, where'd you get
and let's go for maybe some trousers.
Okay.
Have a look at trousers, maybe. Let's go into
exactly
these ones are quite good.
Somebody else's maths. Somebody somewhere.
And yeah, so what I want to see here is so obviously what we're used to seeing all the sort of product details, a lot of information about this particular trousers, but what's interesting at the bottom here is the alternatives that we could be interested in. So recommended products that would work well with this item, and even similar products or alternative ones I may be interested in. So this is quite good to see. Find one that's in stock.
Certainly from from increasing sort of customer spend, increasing the average order value and things like that. These types of tools are recommendations are obviously very important to that whole process.
I've been quite busy on this site already. I've already got something in my basket. So I've got a jacket and I've got a couple of trousers. But this looks really good as well. So
Yeah.
at this point in my journey where I have added some products to my basket, maybe there are other things that could complement what I've been looking at.
Mm.
So, I mean, definitely, if you're thinking about a whole outfit or sort of combination of products that work well together, this is quite a good range. If we're looking at shoes, a top to complete my purchase there. Outdoor protection, being able to protect the jackets.
Sure. So I guess the other thing is as well, I mean, looking at it from a seasonality point of view, and this is an outdoor retailer, right? So could potentially, I guess I might want to make some sort of on the fly recommendations here. Is that possible? I mean, can I manually tweak this? I mean, I'm just thinking again, out the box. I'm going camping. Okay, I like all these products that you're showing me. Could the retailer say here, I don't know, recommend maybe some insect repellent?
Yeah, absolutely. So naturally, all of these recommendations would actually be driven by customer behavior, and these are just automatic through that learning and trend analysis. But on top of that, retailers know best around what products work well together or what particular items are want to push against another. So even on top of what FactFinder learns, you can manually make recommendations around ranges of products that should get recommended against these, or whatever logic you want to use, really.
Okay, so that's probably a reasonable example of how recommendations should work. Have we got an example where it's probably could be improved?
Yeah, we were looking at this earlier, so if I didn't even spell trousers right, and I got no results.
Well, that's not a great start.
Okay, so they're quite similar. Let's see what we get. So we'll get some popular products. So some idea of other popular items, I guess, similar to these, not necessarily complementary.
Okay.
Okay, and then nothing. Okay.
Okay, so realistic recommendations are the three prominent places that sort of spring to mind from my point of view as someone who's pretty much spends a lot of time online purchasing products. The key areas for me are add to basket and checkout have to be, because at that late stage in the buying process, that's when theoretically you could be influenced a lot higher. I mean, you've already sort of got that impulse to purchase a product. So in theory, if you push something in front of me now, I'm about to get my credit card out, and it's relevant, then this is the time to push that, surely.
Yeah, definitely agree. There's definitely opportunities there to leverage that part of the journey.
The interesting thing here is we're not picking on specific retailers here. I mean, I think the good thing that we are highlighting here, though, is that there's probably a lot of people watching this now who are sort of saying, "Oh, well, we're not as big as Millets, or we're not a B&Q, or whatever the case is." It doesn't make any difference, really. These are sort of like fundamental best practices which are just not being hit. And the other thing here is obviously these are well-known brands we're looking at here. With a big sort of omni-channel presence. So there's scope for improvement all the way through. And this is just another one of those cases, I'm afraid. Okay, so we've looked at recommendations. We've looked at sort of the customer journey now. We've followed it reasonably in sort of chronology order to a degree. So I guess we should really look at how we can potentially sort of merchandise pages a bit more intuitively.
So where are we going to look here? So maybe if we're looking on here for maybe a new sofa. So on a category page result for sofas and all the sort of things we've been talking about but already, useful filters, the types of products we want to see, but then looking at the results themselves, what opportunities we have here for merchandising results, not just from a ranking perspective. So obviously we're ranking products maybe based on review scores and this sort of information, but at a category level and merchandising types of products we want to surface towards the top for other merchandising reasons. So here we see sort of quite a mix of different products. And if we go to one of our customers over here, if we go for a similar sort of experience on sofas, you can see the difference here. So there's a lot more opportunity here at the top.
Wow.
Just to communicate what that category is and give them a bit more information around the types of products that reside in there. It's quite light here actually in terms of that information. And even if looking at the grills early, that sort of advisory aspect and guiding and pushing people to the right types of products for them is quite light in terms of that assistance. So definitely opportunity there for either doing things like this, where you can navigate or give the customer the opportunity to navigate to subcategories of products within that range they could be interested in. And then I know that Rocky St George are quite visual in how they merchandise as well. They're quite a visual merchandise in terms of how they use FactFinder. So they quite like to make it is their shop window. It is like them preparing their shop window and making sure they've got the products they want customers to see first. So in terms of things like these sofa products, we can see how we've got these more lifestyle-oriented imagery really pushed towards the top, and they've merchandised these how they want.
I see. Yeah.
But then you see how it differs then.
Yeah.
How into the other products they've got. So they're very, this retail in particular, quite visual.
Yeah, aesthetically, what they've done here is really cool. They're pushing obviously the more impressionable pictures at the top, and obviously there's no coincidence that these are the products that they want to push. It's just a lot more visually attractive to look at, a lot more inspiring as well. I mean, it's funny that this is a really good example because in the top positions here we have two images where in the other example we were looking at in Rocket St George, they were pushing those products towards the bottom. Now, I'm not saying that perhaps the imagery isn't available for these first two. I don't know. I can't comment on that. But again, aesthetically, my eyes are drawn instantly. I don't know about you, Holly, but my eyes are drawn to the products in actually going back to the screen you were just on. The products I was drawn to here were the products in positions 3 and 4, and they're not your top selling positions. Yes, they're on row 1. I get that. Maybe I'm being a bit picky, but it is all about obviously just attention to detail and merchandising is key. I mean, it can be the difference simply between a sale and not a sale. It can be quite cutthroat in that sort of, or in this type of instance.
Yes, that capability to choose and cherry pick the types of products you want to show at the top is really important, and even just this ability to complement that experience. And this is a category, it is a destination page. You want to really shout about what this area of the site is showing me and advise and guide the customers to the right products for them. So this again is a really important area to leverage with a merchandising tool or a campaign manager tool to be able to add some other complementary information here.
Yeah, definitely. So these are some good examples of best practice. So how does the magic happen? I guess we're going to have to look at our own system here to have a look at this. But do you want to just take us through some of the components that we've looked at there? Maybe the search, Certainly, I think it's quite an important one. The suggest elements and obviously the merchandising capabilities. I mean, we all want that automated, or sorry, retailers and brands want that automated approach. How can that be delivered? But how can that be influenced manually if needed as well?
Yeah. So for any of our customers, all of this is just managed through one UI. So that's one of the key selling points is, you know, you've just got one place to come and manage this information from. So I'll just give you a little flavour of what that looks like and how it's used and all of the different things we've been talking about where they reside in here. So with the diagnostic search area of our backend, this is where you can obviously diagnose a search and see what's affecting the positions of products naturally. So just like you can on a website, we can perform searches, see the suggestions, see results that are returned. We can even compare results when we're looking at different types of search terms. You know, just comparing to see how they differ. We can get full visibility of the algorithm and so the error tolerance and what things have contributed to the positions of products. All of the filters you can see down the left here. So these are all, again, dynamically driven based on the results that are returned. So you can see how you get full visibility, full information around what products are returned, why they're returned there. But then more importantly, you're using the tools to influence those positions of those products. So things like the ranking that we talked about earlier, be able to surface products based on different properties that product has. So review scores we've been talking a lot about today. You know, that could be one of the criteria. So you see here we've got a review score or a rating score as a ranking rule. So these little chevrons denote this as a ranking rule, the ability for us to create a rule which will push a product up or down within the results depending on our criteria. So in this case, we're using review scores and we can push products up based on those scores. So as I highlight on this, you can see product 1 and then 8, 9, 10 downwards. They're all being affected by this rule, whereas maybe some other products aren't, maybe because they're new ones. Because we've also got a new a date rule. So we can use a combination of different rules. They can stack up together, and as a suite of rules, they affect the positions of the products.
Sure. Margin. Sorry, again, I noticed you hovered across margin there, which is quite a nice one as well. Being able to sort of merchandise to obviously things like profit margin, so your most profitable products being pushed towards the top of any particular search term or category, which is quite cool.
And which is really cool, but it's completely flexible as well. These aren't rules that are set in stone. You can't just turn on and off a rating score or a margin score. These are just built as you want them. So if you can return a numeric field for margin, then you can use that as a margin rule. If you can return a different numeric field, you can use that as the ratings score. There's ones here for like gender. Other ones may have, if you sell multiple brands, you may have a brand specific one because, you know, maybe your own brand is you want to sell over others. So they're really, really flexible to allow you to create the logic that you want to sort and mix these products how you want within the results. So that's a really powerful way. The other things we're looking at as well was merchandising, and then the more visual merchandising as well, which is really easy to do now with our drag and drop facility. So if for example, here I've got a set of results for jacket products, but maybe there's a particular jacket that we have maybe got in some external advertising, maybe on Facebook or in print somewhere, and so it's quite a prominent product that's been promoted, and we want to surface that higher in the results as well. Drag and drop's a really useful tool for this. So if we wanted to, say, take this product for example, I can literally drag it and pin it to a particular position. I can put it in position 1. I can put it down in position 3 if I wanted to. I'm going to start a new transaction to start my edits. So you can see now how that product has now dropped into position 3 with this little pin.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
So really, really neat, quick and easy way. I want that in that position, drag, drop, done.
Yeah. Yeah. That fast fix.
Yeah, exactly. It uses our campaign feature. So you see at the top, I've got a message here around you've pinned a product, and I can go to that campaign, and it's pre-created for me the whole experience. I know what triggers it, what product is promoted. I can even set a start and end date for it if I wanted to. If I knew we're going to put that in some external advertising next week, I can prepare that campaign in advance and create a start and end date for it. So really quick and easy.
Yeah, so I suppose this is perfect for those obviously working in fashion, where basically you've got sort of teams of we've got lots of merchandisers potentially working on these types of things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
From a resource point of view, it's just almost as good as being fully automated. I mean, it's just such an easy process.
Yep. And then again, on the automation side of things, there's the AIX aspect as well. So the self-learning of FactFinder, which as a live customer, you get some visibility of here. So if these products are being promoted based on the collective understanding of FactFinder and what it's learned about how customers are shopping for this particular search term, you get visibility of that here as well, where it would tell you that the AI tools boost this product by X% because of that particular learning. So there's a lot of self-optimization that happens here without you even having to log in. It's constantly optimizing results on your behalf based on that understanding of how customers are shopping across the site.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a bit of a general overview of how it all looks in the back end, the sort of tools you have to affect those results. So then just to summarize.
Yeah, sure. So I hope the audience can to see how passionate we are about user experience, customer journey, and delivering results. It is definitely a science now. And I think the key thing, I mean, there's 4 key bullet points here. And I guess the first one relates obviously to the business itself. So the better the customer journey, the better the conversion rate, the better the sales, the better the user experience, the happier the customer, and the more likely that customer is going to come and want to have a similar sort of experience when they're purchasing, when they're looking to purchase another product. So it's imperative that retailers and brands start looking more about in more detail in regards to how they can improve the customer journey, how they can deliver expectations, and how they can manage them. And let's just remember, this isn't all about desktop. And we've looked at some desktop experiences here. Some retailers are doing sort of 80%. In some verticals, they're doing 80% of their sales are coming through mobile. So important to manage that as almost like as a separate entity, and making sure that the filters are being managed in a different way. The results are being displayed. Do we need to show 500 or 600 products? Do we just show our top 50 products to mobile, for example? So there's lots of things to take into account in regards to sort of customer journey and managing expectations. Utilize the tools and technology to improve the customer experience. There's for us being a technology supplier, we've invested over 20 years of research into developing the product to get it to the point now where, like I said, we've won best site search solution for the last 3 years on the spin. And it's that type of, whether it's basically from a consultancy point of view, because we do speak to retailers and brands and we engage with other agencies as well in regards to how to deliver these types of experiences. But to please speak to people that are instrumental in developing this type of technology, whatever it is, whether it's a PIM system, whether it's site search or something else. There's a whole font of knowledge out there. Don't just think that you can do it all in house, because it's very tough. The AI element is obviously really, really important as well. Being able to sort of fall back on things like algorithms and learn back from what's actually happening on the site in regards to customer behavior and customer interaction. Use that that information and that data that you're building through your analytics. And FactFinder has its own analytics module, I should say, which is very comprehensive. Make sure you're utilizing all that information to make sure that you're improving that the customer journey as you go on through your e-commerce journey. And finally, e-commerce websites, they're no longer just a shop, but a destination for your brand. We touched on at the very beginning of the customer journey about predictive suggest and how it works when you start typing in characters and being able to provide not only the customer with products, but also providing them with additional information at that stage as well. And also throughout the journey, whether it's using, whether you're merchandising pages and putting in rich media content, video content, banners, whether it's through the filters and having those options for things like geo search and stuff like that. It's how we think out the box now, as shops and as retailers and brands. It's how we can expand all that technology and all those user cases that we can think of. How can we build that into our shop system? Because it is deliverable, it can be done. But again, reverting back to point two, it's all about speaking to the right people, whether it's your agency or whether it's a tech provider like us. The information is there, it can be achieved. And let's not be hesitant in providing your users and your customers with what they're now starting to expect. So many thanks for taking the time out of your busy days to watch this. I hope it's been informative. It's been a pleasure to run through this with you, with Holly. And needless to say, enjoy the rest of the IRX, enjoy the show, and hopefully we'll all see you soon. Take care.